Board.
All right.
Sweet. There we go. All right,
Hey,
y'all.
sorry about that, guys. Sorry for being a few minutes late. I lost power at 11:50,
That's all
and I
right.
was
You're
like,
here.
holy crap, had to jump back on and get going. But
Dude, you
that's
are
what you deal
here.
with. You just roll with things and come up as it goes. So
Yep. You
I
have
appreciate
had
this opportunity to be in front of you guys and to kind of make a little impact. I hope you guys can hear me
yep.
right. And just everything's starting to boot back up. Um, so today I'm going to share with you how we can move through and really just understand that unleashing our potential starts with our mindset. And I'm going to break it down into 10 easy steps for you. And this is stuff that's made a huge impact on me. And we'll kind of go through it. So kind of a little bit about me and where I'm at. I started this real estate journey 20, oh, almost 27 years ago, back in 1997. I was a young whippersnapper. I was out there, was getting married, was engaged. We bought a condo, had all these big plans of going out and conquering and starting our new life and going off and just accomplishing everything we could accomplish. And I had one simple goal, and that was I wanted to achieve more than anyone in my family had achieved, and I wanted to achieve more than any of the limitations and the stories I built in my head that were my reasons that others didn't want me to succeed. And fast forward into my 40s, and I achieved everything I was after. And I was kind of wandering in my 40s, just kind of lost. Like, what's next? Where do I go? I hit this goal. Now what do I do? Where do I kind of go at? And then I had a transformative day on April 12th, 2019. I was in a meeting at the time. I was an investor in a small startup brokerage and was a broker of it. And I'm sitting there in a meeting with my investors, and I just heard this voice in my head going, Mike, you are the reason for all your success and you're the reason for all your failures. Fix it. And I stood up at that meeting. I was miserable, just not happy with the direction I was going in, where this company was going, all that stuff. And I just stood up and I was like, I'm done. Came home, got on Facebook Live that day and made an announcement. I'm starting a coaching business, pivoting out of brokers, pivoting out of selling real estate. And I want to go out and coach and make impacts on people. In order for me to make impacts on people, I
Hi,
realized I
Colby.
needed
Love
it.
you.
Love you too. um, so I realized that in order to make impacts on people, I needed to, first of all, fix me. And it started with mindset. So I just kind of broke down and went through everything that I've been through in the last 25, 27 years and realized that I had a simple formula. It was mindset times action plus accountability equals success. So I spent a few years just really getting focused on my mindset and really fixing me and driving myself towards my freedom, where it was I wanted to go and do that. So I've been on a journey of mindset. I've been on a journey of impacting others and been on a journey for the last 2 years of just elevating myself and elevating everyone around me. So this kind of takes us into the title of today. I thought this was a good place to start, and that was unleashing your potential. We're going to cover 10 steps to get you there and where we're going to be at. And before we get into it, there's just a few things that we need to jump in. And this is what I had to face when I heard that voice. And I had to deal with the man in the mirror. I had to realize that I was the direct reflection of what I was seeing in the mirror was what my lid on where it is I wanted to go. So there, when you can't add value to others if you don't see value in yourself. And that's where I was. No matter what I accomplished, no matter where I was at, I still didn't feel fulfilled, didn't see value, and I was chasing something, and I thought I was going to receive it when I got to there, and I needed to realize I needed to get there first. So there's a Zig Ziglar quote that I've got written down here. It's impossible to be consistent. It's impossible to consistently behave in a manner inconsistent with how we see ourselves. We can do very few things in a positive way if we feel negative about ourselves. So low self-esteem puts a ceiling on our potential. So we need to deal with what's going on, where we're at, and what do we see in ourselves. And there's something I want you guys kind of focus on is there's a seed there's when you plant a seed, it grows into a sapling, starts going, and then you can harvest some things. The cool thing about us as human beings versus an acorn, or if you plant corn or anything that you're planting, our seed has a potential to go into anything that we can dream and go into. An acorn can only grow into an acorn, or it can die. Corn can only grow to tall corn, or it can die. We have the potential to go further with it. So the value we see in ourselves is usually the value others place on us. So I want you to really let that go in. The value you see in yourself is the value others place on you. So if you're one of those realtors that are like, oh, I have this commission objection left and right and all that, I guarantee you don't believe you're 100% worth what it is you're asking for. You're always going to have some that are going to test you with it, but the majority of times is you don't really buy into why you're offering what you're offering. So go out there and believe in it. So the value we place on ourselves is usually the value we go on to it. So I want to tell you a little story about this guy that goes into see a fortune teller. He goes in, he sees his fortune teller, and he says, I want you to tell me my fortune, tell me my potential. She looks down, she looks at her crystal ball, and she looks at everything, and she looks up at him, and she says, you'll be poor and unhappy until you're 45 years old. He's like, wow. Then what? And she goes, then you're going to get used to it. And that's kind of the life we live. It's like we want someone else to tell us where we're going to be. We get unhappy and we stay there, and we just kind of get used to it, and we don't push ourselves out of that comfort zone of where we need to go, where we're going to be. We think, oh, we're 45, we're 50, we're too old. No, you have lots of time ahead of you. So if you don't like the things that are going on, listen to that voice on your shoulder like I did on that day and fix it. The fact is that our lives are not based on what others think of us. They're usually based on what we think of us. And I heard this saying one time, and it was, I'm going to butcher it because I'm not as good as the speaker that said it, but it was basically like, I'm not what I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. And I thought that was really, really powerful, because we start building these stories in our heads of others around us. No one's ever said half the things that we think they're going to say to us. We're scared to call people on cold calls and all that. We think we're going to hear this. They've never said anything like this to us. We just start building this story into our heads, and we get going on. So I get this question asked me a ton. I've been all over the place, been ups and downs everywhere. And wherever I go and I speak somewhere, I show up at an office or talk to someone, people ask me, okay, Mike, you've been in the business a while. What's the secret sauce? What is the thing that makes top agents top agents? And I always go, are you ready for it? Because that's the $1 million question. It's the question I get asked all the time. Are you ready for the answer? You got a piece of paper. You might want to write this down. And everyone goes and grabs a piece of paper and starts writing down. It's like you guys are kind of looking right now. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to share with you the secret. Here's what top producers do that you don't do. They do everything you're doing and a little bit more. It's that little bit more that they do consistently that separates them from you. They go through and they do everything that you're doing. They do it consistent, and then they do it a little bit more. So one of the things I wanted you to kind of think of is, you guys all know that at 212 degrees, water boils. At 211 degrees, you just have hot water. You don't have boiling water, but at 212 degrees, you have boiling water that'll power a locomotive through a brick wall. Here's the really cool part that we need to look at, is that 1 degree to go from 211 to 212 requires more energy than it does to go from 0 to 211. This is what separates the best from the rest, is that 1 degree. that amount of energy they're willing to put in to do just that little bit more that you're at. And that little bit more all starts up here. So we're going to talk about that. So like I talked about, my success equation, mindset times action plus accountability equals success. So today we're going to focus on mindset because that's the first part of the equation. I found, and I've proved it wrong time and time again, that you can have action, you can have accountability in your life, and you get little sprints where you feel like you're doing pretty well in success. And then you find yourself falling down, not happy, nothing where, because you didn't take care of the first part. So we're going to talk about the first part. So we're going to guard our self-talk. So that's step one. The first part of it is guard your self-talk. Whether you know it or not, your running conversation with yourself over the time is, am I worthy? Am I here? Where am I going? Where am I at? What's wrong? What is the nature of your running internal conversation that you're having? Does it encourage yourself or do you criticize yourself? Do you wish someone else would do something? Do you wish the rates had come down? Do you wish any of there'd be more inventory? Are you wishing for other people to do something? Then you can be there, or are you tearing yourself down? Are you picking yourself up? The obstacle is the way. And here's where where we get this from and why our mindset is there. We're programmed this way. And we need to reprogram ourselves to be where we're at. There's a study that shows that by the time you're 17 years old, you've heard no, you can't on average 150,000 times. And you've heard yes, you can on average 5,000 times. So that basically breaks down to you hear yes, you can 1 in every 30 times that you ask. So you're programmed that no, you can't. How often, when I say that to you, how often do you think, if you're a parent or things, how often are you telling your kids, no, you can't? And you don't even realize you're saying that because you're just saying it to end the conversation. I know I have. And when I heard this, I'm like, holy cow, I'm programming my kids the same way I was programmed. And I don't even know it. So we always wonder, there's no wonder why we think I can't, or I don't want to call this, or I don't want to do those kind of things, because we've heard, no, you can't. So if we want to change our lives, we want to change our business, we need to change the way we talk to ourselves. So guard your self-talk. Step 2, we got to stop comparing ourselves to others. We got to stop comparing ourselves to others. That's one thing that we do in this business a lot that I don't think is that healthy, the way we do it. And I've been a part of it, giving out top listers and all these kind of awards and all that stuff. We don't compare ourselves the right way. We're always comparing ourselves to what someone else is doing. And that's why you see 87% of realtors fail in the first 3 to 5 years, because they are like seeing everyone fail. And they stay around the talk of not knowing what to do. And they stay around the talk of all this down stuff. And they don't push themselves out of that next level. So when you're comparing yourself to two things, you're either perceiving yourself the way that the others are far ahead of you. Either perceiving it going, wow, they're so far ahead of me, I'm never going to catch up to them, and you feel discouraged. Or you perceive yourself as, wow, I'm doing pretty good compared to that other person. Neither one of those is good for us. The only person we should be comparing ourselves to is ourselves. Where were we? How far did we grow? Where was I at last week? Where was I at yesterday? How am I going on? So only compare yourself to the people, your person. Don't compare yourself to others. Step 3, we need to move beyond our limiting beliefs. We need to move beyond those. The obstacle is the way. You're going to hear me say that a lot. The greatest limitations people experience in their lives is usually the ones they impose on themselves. These are the ones, this is the lid we put on ourselves all the time. I said this statement a lot, and it's a statement that I dislike, and all my coaching clients, I get them to use this as a trigger word, is I don't like the term, I think outside the box. I used to say it. I used to like that term, but then I realized the only box I'm thinking outside of is the box I placed on myself. So why do I want to walk around and tell people that one of the qualities of myself is that I think outside the box? I think outside of the limitations, the four walls I build around myself. Wow, you're pretty special. So I want all the people that I'm around, I want myself to think of like, what would life be? What would your business be if there were no box? Don't think outside of the box. Think like there is no box. How do you build a massive world inside someone else's massive world? You do that by thinking that there's no box. There's no limitations. There's no boundaries. So in order to transform your limiting beliefs, there's 4 steps. Number 1 is we have to identify what is our limiting belief? What is holding us back? What do we want to change? What's the one thing that you could change right now that would have the biggest impact on your happiness, your business in the next 30 days, the next 60 days, the next 90 days? What's the one thing? Determine how that current belief that you have, how is it limiting you? How is it holding you back? How is it weighing you down? We're walking around every day picking up rocks. Problem is, we're not placing them anywhere. We're just carrying them. And you guys are worn out, you're exhausted, and you're tired. Only pick up rocks that you can go build with, not rocks that you just want to carry. So after you determine how that belief limits you, decide how you want to act, how you want to feel, how you want to be. How do you want to be there? And take those 3 little things that you've worked on and start creating a turnaround statement that affirms and gives yourself permission to be, to act, and to feel this new way. Once you do that, repeat it to yourself daily. One of my biggest things was I put stuff off a lot. So I have 3 words on my mirror that are still there to this day that I've put up almost 3 years ago. Do it now. Do it now, do it now, do now. It's on my mirror so that I say it to myself 50 times every morning when I'm brushing my teeth. And I say it to myself 50 times every evening when I'm brushing my teeth. Do it now, do it now, do it now. That is a big piece of me. It moves me into speed. So I'm 52. So when I turned 50, people would always, I kind of sat down. I was like, what's the thing I would change? What would I do? What would I go forward in your life? You have all this reflection time. And honestly, there's only one thing I would change. I wouldn't change any decision, anything that I did. I wouldn't change any of that. I would change the speed in which I made the decision. I would have gotten out of things faster. I would have gotten into some things faster. I wouldn't change the decision. I just would change how fast I made it. Stop overthinking things. All right, so step 4, add value to others. Add value to others as much as you can. Making a difference, even a small one, in the lives of other people, it lifts your self-esteem. You can't feel bad when you're helping someone else. It's impossible. So go out and make impacts on people every day. Move them out of neutral. Get them to think differently than they thought the moment they walked up to you. Get them to think differently when they walk away. This is something I put into my business in 1997, guys. And I swear this is like the one thing that helped me go on. It's my way of, like Rob always talks about, is gamifying things. This was my gamifying aspect of my real estate business. I looked at what my average sale price was. I broke that down into every time I move someone out of neutral, every time I have an impactful conversation with someone, I could attract that average commission sales price to me. At the time in 1997, my average sale price was $117,000. So I did it for easy math. For me, it was a commission of $3,000. Every time I had an impactful conversation with someone that had the potential to list a home with me, to buy a home with me, to invest in real estate with me, refer business to me, or become a new referral source, one of those five, I had the attraction of $3,000 amount that was going to come to me. Didn't know when, didn't know how, but I knew that I was attracting that to me versus not having those conversations. I was repelling it. So I did simple math. I was like, if I could do that, if I can have one of those every day, 5 days a week, that's a $15,000 attraction week. In a month, that's $60,000. In a year, that was $720,000 in 1997 that attracted to me. Then I did the simple math. How much of that attraction did I need to actually win at to win the game? And when I was 26, getting married, all that in 1997, I was like, 10% gets me 72,000. I can stretch that into six figures. I can make that work. I can do that a little bit more. I was winning the game then. I still think if you could do 10% to 15%, maybe 20%, you're doing pretty well. I bet that number is pretty big compared to your average sale price right now. And then I made the commitment. I was going to do a 3-year grind of that. I was not going home until I had one of those conversations every day. So my wife knew I was not walking in the door until I did that. 3 years of grinding, that's 2.1 million attracted to you. You're setting up a river that is flowing and not hoping that you can be this reservoir that's just going to start collecting stuff. That simple thing changed everything for me. And I apply it today. I still want to have an impactful conversation. I want to move someone out of neutral. I get in a spot, I don't know how many people are on this call, there's 17 or so. I just want one of you to walk away different than you walked in. And the law of attraction works in my favor. Okay, let's move on. Step 5. Do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing. Do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing. Being true to yourself and your values is a tremendous esteem builder. Yeah, I had an unforeseen hurdle come up 10 minutes before this call. Lost power. Nothing I can do. Old me would have freaked out. What am I going to do? Grab my phone, do whatever. Sent Rob a message, running a little late. What are you going to do? Just sometimes having that little heads up, that quick little conversation that you don't want to have, gave Rob a little open window to do a Q&A with you, kind of poke some things, get some stuff. You got some things answered, and now I jump on and we go. So do the hard thing, even if it, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing. Every time you take action, that action builds your character. It builds you to become stronger. It builds momentum every time you take action. You may not feel it at the moment, but it's coming your way. The harder the task, the more of the character builder that's happening on your side. You can't act your way into feeling good. You've got to do your way into feeling good. We've all been acting from time to time. How many of you have been had this question asked to you whenever you walk up to someone, especially right now? How's the market? How are things going? And you answer, it's going great. And then that person walks away and you're like, I lied to him. Like, you had this moment in your head where you are going to say what you wanted to say, but you didn't. You lied and you said something else. We're acting all the time. We got to stop acting. What we need to do is, when that person asks you that question, find out why they asked you. There's a question behind every question. So when they're asking you that question, say, well, it depends on what perspective, which side you're looking at the market. Are you thinking of buying or are you thinking of selling? What's the perspective you have that I can give you the best information on? Now you're getting them to actually converse and talk with you. All right, step 6, practice a small discipline daily in a specific area of your life. Practice a specific, one small discipline daily in a specific area of your life. And when I talk about specific, break it down into the 7 key areas of life. Your health, your job, your business, your family, your finances, your relationships, spiritually. Practice one thing every day in one of those areas that's going to move yourself into the right growth. Don't take everything on. Don't take the whole mountain that you're going to climb. Just do one thing. And when you have success and you have a victory in that, it'll build confidence, and confidence leads to momentum. And now you feel like you can go do more. So start chipping away at things. Break everything down into bite-sized pieces that you can swallow instead of looking at the whole elephant. That's where the stress and the worry and all that comes in. Just keep it simple. Discipline is a morale builder. The more disciplined you can stay, the more morale you can have. Boost yours by going out and taking small, consistent steps. Get victories. Stop trying to win the war. Just win the daily battle. All right, step 7, celebrate the small victories. Celebrate the small victories. What kind of things do you tell yourself? Are you telling yourself things like, well, it's about time when you have a victory? Or are you telling yourself, like, I didn't do as much as I should have, but I still won? Or are you telling yourself sometimes that little bit, it probably wouldn't make a difference? Or are you telling yourself it's hopeless, it's never going to succeed? Or are you telling yourself that after you hear from someone else that's trying something, you're like, that isn't going to work? Or more, are you switching it, that little switch, and you're going and having conversations like, man, I'm glad I did that. I did the right thing. Good for me. You're building yourself up. Every little bit helps. I'm so much closer now than I was yesterday. Have if you're thinking more like the first group, look at going, how do I deal with things that are going on so that I can be more like the second group of things, of my internal talk? How can I get more positive? How can I get more supportive in myself? Step 8, embrace a positive vision for your life based on what you value. Based on what you value, not what other people value or what you think. Embrace a positive vision. If you have a positive vision for your life and you take action to fulfill that vision, you'll begin to recognize life does matter. You have to see it in order to achieve it. I don't know if anyone on here is a golfer. If you are, you'll relate to this story pretty easily. If you stand at the tee and you look at the water, or you look at the woods, and you spend your whole time thinking, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go there, I don't want to go there, most likely you're going there. Because that's the vision you've planted in your brain. And now you stand over the ball and you execute your vision. When you envision hitting it down the middle or envisioning your next shot or where you want to go, when you start visioning that, you most likely hit something in that area. If you're riding a bike and you're looking over to the left, and instead of looking directly in front of you, the bike goes to the left. You're not walking, if you're walking, you're not looking where you're going, you look somewhere else, you're going that somewhere else. What you envision comes. So make sure you actually got the right vision. What you envision, you receive. Does your vision align with your values? What are your standards? You don't like things, change them. What prompts you to see a positive vision in your life? Get more of those prompts coming in. Do the right thing. Stack your day the right way so that you're in power. If you don't have a vision for your life, you're most likely unmoved. You're just sitting still, or you're finding yourself in the same spot over and over again. You're reliving Groundhog Day. All right, step 9, practice the one-word strategy. This is from Aspire by Kevin Hall. I don't know if you've read that book, but he talks about this. And he basically says, if you could pick only one word to describe yourself, what would it be? I hope it's positive. If it's not, then you need to change your word. The way you see yourself is the way others see yourself. So if you have trouble describing yourself, most likely others will too. And if you still have trouble, you're putting time to it, borrow some of the people around you, borrow some of their vision, the way they would describe you, borrow their belief in you. Ask them how they see you. So what I'd like you to do outside of this call is I'd like you to sit down with yourself, grab a pad of paper, and write down a list of your best qualities. Strive to get to 100. If it takes you a while, look at that list twice a day. If you do it really quick, most likely you're just kind of like, you're on top of yourself. You're not seeing the true value. So go back through it and actually just go a little deeper. But spend some time with that list and look at it until you start believing what you wrote down. And look for patterns in that list. What's the pattern? What's the one word that sticks out? And that'll become your North Star. That'll become who you are and what you're about. All right, step 10. Take responsibility for your life. We tend to get out of life what we're willing to tolerate. We teach other people how to treat us. We're tolerating stuff and not making a change. Others are going to walk all over us too. If we don't have a plan or a purpose for our lives, we will become part of someone else's plan. So we need to have a plan. So wrapping this up, you become the person that you have the potential to be. You just need to believe in yourself and you need to get started. You need to start moving towards that. You need to believe in yourself. What kind of things do you tell yourself? Like we've talked about that. Well, it's about time. I didn't do as much as I should have, all that stuff. Start changing what we're saying. Because what we think do and wrap accountability around, we'll succeed at. What we do and wrap accountability around, if that doesn't match up with what we're thinking, we'll get there. If we're thinking negatively, most likely we're getting negative results. So go back and just keep looking at that. Mindset times action plus accountability equals success. Start with the equation the way it comes up. And like Dory, one of my favorite parts of Finding Nemo is just keep swimming. Just keep moving forward and keep believing. Don't stand still. Don't wait for other things. Get out there and move forward. So that's really about all. So I can open it up for some questions. I hope you guys found some value in that. Hope you got something that kind of moved you out of some things, but I think it's a good foundation to get started. That's my mindset is everything. And I know that mindset is a lot like showering. It's nice to take a shower, but you can't just do it once. You got to do it every day. So you need to work on your mindset every day. It's not something you just do. It's how do I get it right? How do I keep it right? How do I protect it? How quickly do I react and respond when I get off kilter? We've all stepped in dog shit before, I'm sure. And if you have, or you still have it on your shoe, or did you get it off pretty quickly? You're going to step in dog shit. So you're going to have things that are going to affect your mindset. How quickly can you get it off and move on? And sometimes that dog shit stinks a little bit for a while. Even though it's gone, you still smell it. It left a lingering thing. It's just takes some time. It's the same with your mindset. Some things are going to pivot you and move you on. You're not perfect. But what's next?
Hey, Mike, I just have one clarifying question.
Yeah, sure.
We're supposed to actually take a shower every day?
I got to tell my son that. He's 15, but yeah.
Dude, no, good stuff. I think mindset's one of those things we don't talk about enough. We talk about the technical aspects of real estate and how to do certain things. And the reality is the one thing that's really going to make a difference. It's the one thing that, most of you, I think, know that my daughter's an Olympian, right? And you look at that, and there are a lot of girls that have the same skills, but there's one thing that sets her apart, and she's an Olympic silver medalist too. So there's one thing that sets all of those Olympians apart, and it's right there. It's the same thing in real estate, right? And we need to have this conversation more. And I was talking to Janie and Sean, I see you, but and she was talking about how our two upbringings were different. I had a mom that was entrepreneurial and a really go-getter and in real estate and all that kind of stuff. And then my dad was a lot more laid back, so to speak, right? And had the same job for 45 years and retired with the watch, right? That kind of thing. Man, that's it. It's a lot of times we come into real estate and we come from different backgrounds, and it's we don't know that it's a mindset shift to actually succeed and find out what we're capable of. And anybody can teach how to do an open house, but can you put the mindset in there to have the best and become the best in what you're actually capable of? And that's a difference. So thanks. I appreciate that very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Sean, you had your hand up.
Sean had a question.
Yeah, Mike, well, first of all, I thought it was all fire. I thought it was all golden nuggets. It was amazing. I thought it was great. I got 4 pages of notes here, brother. I appreciate it. I've never spent time with you before, but there's some good stuff right there. I think they say sometimes you have to become someone else, right? To do the best that you can do because of all the fears and limits we put on ourselves, hold ourselves back. You almost have to become someone else, right? And my golden nugget was right in your last sentence. It was you said have a plan for yourself or you become part of someone else's plan. Oh my God, right? I mean that's the golden nugget right there for me, Mike. I thought that was amazing. I wrote that down. I'm gonna have a poster put on the wall that says that. That quote blew me away, and I've heard 100 of them. which leads me to my very next question, if you don't mind me slipping it in. Was the
Sure.
man
Go.
was the man in the mirror reference anything to do with Bill Parcells?
No, it's not. But
All right. Have you heard that Bill Parcells
no, I
poem?
have not.
Yeah, go check it out, Mike. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Thanks
I
for the
will.
reference. Thanks for the reference. It was awesome. And thanks for today. I love it, man.
Yeah. Hey, anything I can help you with, I'm glad I moved you.
Thanks, brother.
Yep. All right. I think Diane, I think, has her hand up.
I was just gonna say, Mike, that for me, when you put that value of what your commission could be for each conversation that you have, I was like, wow, because I've never really thought of it like that. It's weird because I've done a bunch of disc and I just did it last night again. And I'm always a high D and a high S, but it's like my I is always really low, but my D, my S, and I think the C, they're always pretty much equal, but D and S win it out. But I have a tendency to, I don't know, people think that I'm social and stuff because I have to be the atmosphere that I live in. But I really like not having to talk to people. And it's like really an effort for me. So I am like, it's like somebody said the other day, it's like be the sunshine when you walk into the room. Like I'm usually like, oh, I gotta talk to people. But this actually kind of tied in that for me. It's like, just be, just know your worth and appreciate life every day and have those conversations that you can add value to other people. And then it helps you bring that sunshine forward and that love and that being of service to other people. And it's not a chore anymore because you're now in it for all of the reasons. It's not just the dollar sign. It's not just, oh, I have to be here. It's all of those things put together for me. So
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
You're definitely right on there. And thank you. You're a D and an S. And I think it's kind of interesting. You said, I don't like to talk to people. You were the second person to put your hand up. So you do like talking. You just like to control what you talk about. So
True.
So when you know that about yourself, go control what you're talking about. Don't let someone else spark or start a conversation. Go start it yourself, because if you do, you like it. You raised your hand.
And that's really true too. I started doing the $10 million listing program, Rob, the 90 and 90. And, I've always known Ford for, talking, having conversations, but the ones that they did in there, I'm like, oh, I always thought, oh, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing this wrong. And I don't know why that's kind of a negative thing that plays in my head. Like, I'm doing this wrong. I got to do it this way or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, I've been doing it right this whole time and I didn't know it. So it's like, I know when I went back to college when I was 52, I was in this program for it's like behavioral health motivational interviewing, which finds your stage of change for making health decisions and stuff. And it's that competence thing for me. Like this program, I really needed this because I'm under Mike Secord. I have access to unlimited videos of different things that he does, but I needed more of that. The DPA makes sense to me, and the hands-on, and it's actually then doing the action that brings in the DPA, and that's increasing my competence and my confidence. So I can now realize, I'm doing it right. And all the things you said today, 1 through 10, it's just knowing what your plan is and then supporting yourself mentally so that you can succeed with this business and not beat yourself up every day, because it could be tough.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just need to, and we talked about it in these things, and we go back and revisit it. What brings you energy? Is it positive? Is it negative? If it's negative, you're doing something wrong. Stop doing it. If you like the way you feel when you do it, then you're doing the right thing. I think there's too much there's too much in our business and our world is, like you said, with Mike Sherrard, you have access to all kinds of things. We're walking around with a device in our hands that we have access to everything in the world. So we're never in a spot of not having access to things. What we're in a spot of is doing what it is we want to do. So I would just push you, like, don't look for a way. You know, like we're thinking, oh, we heard this, Mike said this, or Rob said this, or I saw this in the class. That's the way to do it. No, it's a way. You've got to find your way. And my way was, I just needed to have that conversation. I don't care how I have it. I don't care how I have it. Like you do it. Just go have that conversation with the people you want and control your conversations. You like to talk then. All right, Nicole, I think she has her hand up.
Yes. First, I just wanted to say thank you. This was
Welcome.
super, and I think a lot of, definitely knowing your self-worth, definitely believing it, and then showing it. Like, like just doing those little things. Like I'm all about helping people. Like that's what I do. I don't know how to do anything else. So, it's taking all of that and putting it into action and getting like the result that you want. So taking all of those, the things that you're talking about, like the value that you see in yourself is what somebody else is going to see in you. And like putting that into action and really believing it. I think it's one thing that a lot of us don't see maybe or believe. So hearing your story and going through that, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So thank you.
I appreciate it. And this is something I've used over time, and I talk often to help you believe. We believed for probably until we were 7, 9, some people till they're 11, that a chubby man in a red suit. Oh, sorry, you got kids close by? Sorry. But we believe that he got in a sleigh and flew around the world. And like you could believe in that. You can't believe in yourself. Like we think about that. Go back, and if you want it bad enough, you like that feeling. That's why you believed in it. You love the feeling of where you're at. So wrap around like where you're going to be at with the feeling and go on. Hope they didn't hear it.
I still hear the bells though, Mike. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thanks for not beating up the Easter.
Yeah. He's next. Watch out.
I have a story about that.
So is the tooth fairy.
I have a story about
Stormy's going, wait a minute. I hope they're not listening. All right, we'll be quiet. Shh.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce. Thank you again so much.
Thank you, Nicole. All right. Anyone else?
Hey, Mike, thank you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing today. Very grateful for you, and thank you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. If anyone needs me, just reach out through Workplace or reach out through Facebook.
You got it. All of you guys,
All right.
thank you for showing up. Also, remember too, tonight at 4:00, I am going to do a specific Q&A just for Diane. And then we're also going to talk about the prisoner, the mercenary, and the missionary, and see which one you are. So come join me. All right. See you then.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, guys.